Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and we have some interesting weather coming up in the next few days. However, days 4, 5, and 6, there's some predictability issues going on there, so we're going to be looking at those as well. Because so we'll go ahead and dive right through all of this, as there's an enhanced risk issued for today and a slight risk for tomorrow for much of the deep south. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. There's an enhanced risk severe weather from southern Arkansas all the way down to Waco, Texas now. So this thing has shifted to the south and more to the west, as there are some storms going on in parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas right now. So that's basically what's going on. So let's go ahead and look at the risks. The tornado risks at 5% for these areas right here, for these areas, the 2% for everywhere else. The wind threat is what's primarily going to be the biggest threat right here. 30% from Waco all the way up to southern Arkansas right here. 15% in the slight risk area, 5% everywhere else. The hail threat is about 15%, so nothing to really ignore right here. It goes from Texas all the way to Mississippi right here, so yeah, 5% everywhere else. So that's basically the risks we have for today. There is enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms for parts of eastern Texas, southern Arkansas, and northwest Louisiana. Summary: scattered severe storms are likely, mainly due to the afternoon into early evening across parts of central and east Texas through the mid-south. Damaging winds should be primarily hazard, but isolated tornadoes and large hail will be possible. Central to east Texas into the mid-south. The remnants of the extensive convective overturning overnight are ongoing across parts of Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. A lead MCV associated with a decaying MCS has reached southern Missouri, outpacing most of the CAM guidance. The flow enhancement added to the MCV should largely remain on the cool side for surface warm front outpace richer boundary moisture as it tracks to the lower Ohio Valley. It appears plausible that if the trailing convective outflow oriented from the northeast to southwest will effectively serve as the primary boundary for the afternoon storm development in the mid-south region of the Mississippi Valley. Steepening low-level lapse rates in the east and south should promote a main threat for scattered damaging wind gusts with low confidence of tornado potential focused near the warm front outflow intersection. Further west-southwest, elevated convection over southeast Oklahoma spreading east-southeast combined with the additional convective development blossoming along the composite surface cold front outflow into the central Texas should foster widespread thunderstorms this afternoon. The most favorable low-level hydrograph should tend to be focused near the Arklatex and Sabine Valley, where embedded supercells will be capable of producing a few tornadoes. Given the progressiveness of the composite cold front outflow along the bulk of the deep layer winds largely paralleling this boundary, especially with southwest extent in Texas, a linear convective mode with surging cold poles is expected to dominate. While large hail is possible given the plume of 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE and 40 to 50 knots of bulk shear, damaging winds should be the most prolific hazard in this coverage. The severe threat will diminish after dusk in the MCS's shift south and east ahead away from the stronger low-level flow attendant to the Kansas Ozark Plateau, upper low, stronger instability in south Texas. So that's essentially the situation right here. So basically, the wind threat's going to be the biggest threat, as I said. There's a good amount of CAPE for about 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram. I actually want to take a look at this. Let's go to the HER model for the southern Great Plains for this one. We'll go to the deep south in a little bit. Surface-based CAPE for here. This is by 21 in 18Z on for today. So yeah, we're seeing areas around 2,000, close to cracking 3,000 joules per kilogram in some areas. So yeah, it's not off in the slightest. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the dew point temperatures for that day. The lower 70s widespread across parts of eastern Texas where these storms are going to be firing off. So plenty of moisture. The temperature is going to be in the upper 70s to low 80s. So a good amount of humidity with that as well to really give these storms the edge, as I would put it. So let's go ahead and do the day 2 outlook right here. There's a slight risk from Virginia and Ohio all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. Marginal risk from Louisiana all the way up to Maryland, and now down to parts of Florida. So this is what's going on. The tornado threat's the least widespread threat. It's still 5%, but it's only for concentrated parts of Virginia and North Carolina, including Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Greenville, and Rocky Mount. So, yeah, that's some populated areas right there. So that's basically what's going on with that. The wind threat is at 15%. That's a more widespread area from parts of Virginia all the way down to the Florida Panhandle and Alabama right here. 15%, 5% everywhere else. The hail threat is the hail threats to the west of it, as well as in this part in Virginia and North Carolina. It goes from Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia down to the Florida Panhandle once again. So I'll be paying close attention to that. So let's go ahead and read the summary as well as the parts of the synopsis. There's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across portions of the southeast, middle Ohio Valley, and mid-Atlantic. Summary. Thunderstorms are likely across parts of the southeast states, middle Ohio Valley, and mid-Atlantic states on Friday. Some storms may be strong enough to produce hail and damaging wind gusts. A few tornadoes are also possible. Synopsis. A maturing southern stream shortwave trough is forecast to move across the northeast across mid-Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley on Friday. Enhanced mid-level flow will persist throughout the base of this shortwave, beginning the period of extended southern plains, eastward into the Tennessee Valley and southeast before expanding eastward into the mid-Atlantic trough throughout the day. An occluded surface low associated with this shortwave will likely begin the day over Illinois before further occluding throughout the day as it gradually moves eastward across the Ohio Valley. Secondary surface low development is likely along this triple point over Kentucky, with the resulting low tracking eastward into Virginia. Thunderstorms are expected along and ahead of the cold front extending from the triple point secondary low as it moves eastward across the southeast and Tennessee Valley into the mid-Atlantic. So what all that mumbo jumbo is that there's a low that's going to start occluding, which means it's going to start weakening, and from that a secondary low is going to develop, and that secondary low is what's going to be the driving force behind these thunderstorms. So that's basically what that is saying right there. So let's go ahead and continue into this right here. Tennessee Valley into the southeast. Thunderstorms will likely be ongoing Friday morning into the middle Tennessee, southeastward into the lower Mississippi Valley. These storms will likely be along the eastward progressing outflow boundary preceding the cold front. General expectation is for these storms to largely subsevere during the morning. However, increasing large-scale forcing for ascent, attendant and perturbation along the base of the shortwave trough, as well as down quick stream air mass destabilization and mid-diurnal heating should lead to a reinvigoration of the convective line as it moves across eastern Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia during the afternoon. A predominantly multicellular mode is anticipated initially, but some upscale growth into one or more line segments is possible. Low-level flow is expected to be veered throughout much of the region, but enhanced mid-level flow will still support occasional updraft organization into potential for embedded supercells. Primary severe threat will be damaging wind gusts, but some hail is also particular as a result of the cell mergers. A few tornadoes could also occur. North Carolina into Virginia. Low 60s dew points will be likely in place across much of North Carolina early Friday morning, with higher values near the coast. This moist air mass is forecast to advance northward throughout the day amid southerly low-level flow ahead of the approaching outflow, with the northern extent of the better moisture acting as an effective warm front. Isolated thunderstorm development along this warm front is possible where warm wind profiles support supercells. Damaging wind gusts and tornadoes or a tornado or two are possible along these storms if the updrafts can mature. After this initial isolated threat, the more widespread thunderstorm development is possible as the outflow moves into the region amid the mid-60s dew points and moderate buoyancy. Damaging wind gusts within the more organized Boeing segments are the primary severe risk. Middle Ohio Valley, early thunderstorms are expected across Kentucky, but more widespread thunderstorm coverage is expected during the afternoon and evening into the primary surface low and occluded front. Expectation for the air mass to destabilize behind the convective outflow, with this destabilization fostered by the cold front and mid-level temperatures. Hail will be the primary risk for those who with initial development. Thereafter, a trend towards the Boeing line segments favors damaging wind gusts. So that's just all. That was just basically talking about the outline of these severe storms. We could be seeing a few supercells tomorrow in parts of the deep south, maybe into North Carolina as well. There's a lot of moisture in there, and there might be some instability. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Cape for the HER model. We can do the Mid-Atlantic because that covers it. Convective surface-based Cape. We're going to go ahead and move it out. Okay, we're going to go back to the 12Z, and we're going to move this out about, I would say about there. I would say about there around 21, I'd say around 18Z. There's going to be, the most instability is actually going to be off in North Carolina, actually. About 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. 3,000 by the coast, so that's something to watch out for. Good amount of Cape in parts of Kentucky. There's about a few hundred joules per kilogram of Cape in western North Carolina. Parts of South Carolina are cracking over almost 2,000. Georgia, it's pretty scattered, but the Cape, on average, is averaging between 700 and 2,000 joules per kilogram. And as it moves into Virginia, that 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape is going to move into southern Virginia, so everyone needs to be keeping a close eye out for this. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at the dew point temperature, because this is going to be more widespread. That's going to become more concentrated. We're seeing mid to upper 60s dew points, which is a good amount of good amount of moisture. The temperature in some of these areas is going to be in the 80s, some in the 70s. We're seeing humidity around the mid 70s to the mid 80s to percentile range. So good moisture to produce these storms. So that's basically the situation we have right here. Now I want to take a look at day 4, 5, and 6 because yesterday that had a 15%. Now it says predictability too low. Day 5, it still has that 15%. This time going from Duluth all the way down to Omaha. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And day 6 is now predictability too low. Same with day 7. Who's surprised? This discussion right here will explain it right brief and center. The medium range discussion guidance is in good agreement for overall upper pattern amplifies significantly on day 4 Sunday and day 5 Monday, as the western continental United States troughing deepens and the upper ridging along the Mississippi Valley builds. Position along the upper trough leads to deep southwesterly flow aloft across the plains. At this time, strong moisture advection will occur, with mid-60s dew points reaching eastern Kansas by day 4 on Sunday and much of Iowa by Monday. On day 6, Tuesday, a large area of 70-plus dew points may exist from the Arklatex north into Iowa. This low-level moisture, coupled with EML fostered by a deep southwesterly flow aloft, is forecast to result in strong instability across at least some portion of the plains and/or upper to mid-Mississippi Valley, from day 4 to at least day 6, which is Tuesday. The somewhat stagnant upper pattern and lack of progressive surface features leads to the dearth of forcing for ascent for Sunday, leading to predictability issues. So it looks like the upper pattern is changing a bit, and now there's some predictability issues with that. Some elevated thunderstorms are possible across the northern plains, but uncertainty in location and overall severity merit precluding any outlook areas. Somewhat more discernible, predictable surface features are expected on day 5 Monday, with a front moving into upper Mississippi. Given that the forecast buoyancy and shear, any storms that do develop will likely be severe. And there's a good amount of Cape that's going to be coming with this as well. So I want everyone to understand that. Some severe potential may persist across the upper Mississippi Valley on day 6, Tuesday, but guidance varies crucially on the position of the various surface features, limiting predictability. Additionally, guidance indicates that upper ridging will build west across more of the plains on day 6 Tuesday and day 7 Wednesday, likely shifting from a potential storm back towards the high plains. So, yeah, day 6 and day 7, we could see something, but like I said, once again, predictability is just too low for that. I want to go ahead and take a look at the models. I want to first take a look at the NAM to see if this will go far enough out. This Central Great Plains. okay, convective, surface-based cape. So let's actually go out right here. I mean, it goes far enough. This is for Sunday, actually. We're seeing cape values of cracking 5,000 once again, according to the NAM. So the NAM and GFS are in agreement with this. The GFS has the cape at a much wider area, much larger area in parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. And depending on how that shear is executed, we could be seeing some pretty bad severe weather with that. But at the same time, we don't know everything, so we'll be waiting till for that point. But even the NAM's starting to come into agreement, quite a bit actually. This is 84 hours out, the most out it can go, and we're already cracking close to 5,400 joules per kilogram of cape. So if there's a good enough amount of shear in there, and there's a good amount of moisture, and we can check this moisture dew point, and there is a good amount of moisture in there, we could be seeing some pretty bad severe weather. But at the same time, we don't know where this is going to be positioned at. So that's basically what's going on for day 5 in the GFS. For day 5 in the GFS, we're seeing the Cape. Actually, we'll actually go to the Midwest with this one. We're seeing the Cape actually 4,000 joules per kilogram going all the way up to central Iowa from parts of Oklahoma. And we're seeing Cape values once again around cracking 5,800 joules per kilogram. So that's an interesting situation we have right here. And the day 5 outlook has it going around here. So I'm not sure if they're going to extend that or not, but if there's a good amount of shear in this part of Iowa, this part of Missouri, and this part of Kansas right here, they're going to have to extend that, because we're seeing Cape values cracking 5,800 joules per kilogram, and you don't see that often. You only see that in the very big severe weather events. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a big severe weather event. We don't have enough information to really say that. But what I do know is that you do not see 5,800 joules per kilogram happen every day. But with that being said, that is going to really wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. The links to all my documentaries will be in the description below. Greensburg, Bridge Creek Moor, as well as the 2011 super outbreak. They're all in the description. And with that being said, guys, if you're in parts of the Deep South today, take it very seriously. There's going to be some severe weather. And with that being said, stay safe.